All right. Welcome to the Ask Me Anything session by Samagra for this undergraduate recruitment drive. We have about four of us from Samagra team here. We have Vice President Ujjwal Ralan, Senior Manager Shefali Thakur, myself Venkatesh Chaturvedi, and Pooja Malhotra, my associate on the call, here to take you through the session. So essentially, the way we have structured the session is that we are going to have a quick presentation for the next 30 odd minutes, and subsequent to that, we will be opening up for Q&A. In terms of the Q&A, what I would request all of you is that from the get-go, if any question that you have, which may be a question that you have, from before the session itself, or anything that comes up during the session, please put it on the chat box, right? Chat box here, right? We'll be picking up the questions from the chat box and then answering those questions towards the end of the session, right? So therefore, whatever question you have, do not wait to raise your hand and speak up, because we'll not be able to entertain that format of Q&A because of the sheer number of people who are on the call. But we'll take up the questions, club a few questions here and then, and also answer a few questions as text on the chat itself, right? So that we are able to address as many questions as possible, right? All right, great to see about, I think, 250 people on the call right now. And let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Venkatesh Chaturvedi, a senior consultant at Samagra, and I've been working with the organization for the last two plus years, and have been heading recruitment, have been heading the governance challenge case competition, amongst other special initiatives of the organization. And before that, I've done my BTech from in IIT Patna, worked for about 5 years with an academy, did my MBA from ISB, Hyderabad, and have been working with Samagra since then. I'll hand it over to my colleague Pooja for her quick introduction.
Thanks, Venkatesh. Hi everyone. I'm Pooja, working as a senior process associate at Samagra. So, I have over 4 years of experience in HR domain, and I have been with Samagra for over 1.5 years now, where I manage lateral and campus hiring. Now, I'll pass on to Shifali for her intro.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the call. My name is Shifali Thakur. I'm currently a senior manager at Samagra. I'm also in the role of chief of staff, and I lead all the central teams at Samagra. I've been with Samagra for about 5 years now. Prior to Samagra, I've worked in many other organizations, primarily in the impact sector. Overall, I do have about 13 plus years of experience. I've also done my engineering, but took a pivot towards impact space early on, and since then have been in this space. I'm going to hand it over to Ujjwal. Um,
I'm
English,
Shefali.
Ujjwal on the call?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go
Hi,
for it. Yeah.
everyone. Yeah. So I'm a VP at the firm. I've been around. So again, I'm a computer engineer who pivoted towards governance consulting. And I've been at Samagra for more than 7 years now. So I've spent 3 years with the Chief Minister's Office in Haryana and also worked with Government of India in different kind of domains. And I also work with the Government of UP on this in the space of education. And I also played the role of chief of staff for nearly 3 years. And until very recently, I was leading the AI in governance portfolio of Samagra. So glad to meet all of you and looking forward to this session and addressing the queries that you may have.
All right, Pooja, why don't we go ahead with the second slide? Yeah. All right, folks. So here's a map of India. What I would request is use the annotate option on the Zoom to tell us which part of the country are you from. I think would love to know which different campuses, which different parts of the country are you guys from. So quickly, just you can put a dot or a tick mark, in different places. Okay, I see a few dots in Bangalore. I see. So I think with people from different campuses in Bangalore and Karnataka, they're okay. Gujarat, someone has circled there. A lot of people from the Delhi NCR region is also what I see. Yeah, if you're not able to annotate, please just feel free to put on the chat also your college or city, right? Completely fine, right? So people from Delhi University are there in quite a numbers. All right, people from Mumbai as well. I see people coming from Goa, right? All right, perfect, great. This is okay. Someone has written the college name as well. All right, interesting. Great. So we have people in the chat from IIT Kanpur, we have people from Jharkhand, we have people from Kolkata, Delhi University, NSUT, Uttarakhand, NIT Warangal. Great to see a lot of people from different campuses joining us, right? And that also makes us very excited, about the kind of prospective candidates who are there on the call currently. All right, yeah, I think that is it on this activity. We now have a a quick video to show all of you, and you can, stop annotating now, right? Yes.
Introducing Sangeeta, Shivansh and Sarita. Sangeeta is a small-scale farmer in the Puri district of Odisha who earns a little over 1 lakh per annum. Shivansh is a grade 3 student in the Unnao district of Uttar Pradesh who is a grade competent student. Sarita is a contractual Group D employee in the Rewari district of Haryana who currently avails a monthly salary of roughly 15,000 rupees. But the lives of Sangeeta, Shivansh and Sarita weren't always like this. A few years back, Sangeeta dreamt about having a better life for her family by being able to increase her annual income. Similarly, Shivansh dreamt about performing well in his class by being able to easily read and solve basic maths. And Sarita, she dreamt about getting her monthly salary on time.
Sangeeta, Shivansh and Sarita are not alone. Almost each and every Indian aspires for a better tomorrow. At Samagra, we have made that as our mission, to improve the quality of life of citizens through better governance. For far too long as a country, we have had a lot of potential. It's high time now that we realize that potential. If we have to become a developed country or a Viksit Bharat by the time we turn 100, it's imperative that we meet the aspirations of our 150 crore people. We firmly believe that governance is a key lever of change. We also believe that if India has to transform from a governance perspective, it has to be state by state by state, with Government of India playing an enabling role. Therefore, we are focused on working with the political executive and the bureaucratic leadership across states in India on deep system reforms or systemic transformations. We started off with a very different model, which was we used to work with MPs and MLAs and support them with different aspects of constituency development. So, जहाँ से भी वो elect हो रहे हैं, how do you facilitate development in that region? So, we started working with MPs across party lines in 8 different states in the country. This was 2013, 14, part of 2015. The larger learning from that phase was state is where you can really conceptualize, design things, and at the same time have a very direct control on implementation. So, we pivoted in 2015 to our current model, where we work with the political and the bureaucratic leadership at the state level. Our approach over the years has been a combination of 3 things: a top-down management consulting approach for problem structuring, a very grounds-up understanding of the governance ecosystem for solution design, and appropriate use of technology and data to enable the large-scale implementation of these solutions. We really believe when these 3 things come together, that's when magic happens. And this approach is manifested in the day-to-day working of our teams.
Our USP in working with governments is threefold. First, the ability to come up with practical solutions that are implementable at scale. Second, the ability to drive large-scale change management in government system. And finally, the third, the ability to leverage technology to push the envelope in governance.
We work with the state when there's a clear pull. That means there's political will on a topic and there's a bureaucratic champion who has been mandated to drive the transformation. Once the pull is there, then we co-create a transformation roadmap together with the state. These transformation roadmaps are often a combination of policy unlocks, administrative or management levers, technical or domain-specific interventions, and technology enablers. And then we are there through a 3 to 5 year period to catalyze the implementation of this roadmap till the time statewide measurable outcomes are achieved and things become sustainable in the system.
Based on this model, over the years, we have worked on 25 plus systemic transformation programs cutting across geographies and domains such as agriculture, school education, benefit delivery, skilling and employment, healthcare, financial inclusion, and so on. For instance, our work in agriculture in Odisha has impacted more than 75 lakh farmers in the state.
In 2018, there was an outbreak that affected most of the state's paddy crop. We're working with Samagra. They started to register those farmers. And now they literally have a control center. You know, when you walk in, you think, wow, this is agriculture. But, you know, you've got a command center and maps and people doing queries and sending out messages. And I felt very much at home.
Similarly, our work in Haryana on benefit delivery impacted all the 2.7 crore citizens of the state.
गौरव गोयल जी का अपना एक बहुत बड़ा सहयोग इसमें हमको मिला है। चीज़ों को कैसे एफिशिएंट करना, कैसे फास्ट करना, कैसे नए आइडिया, कैसे टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ इसको आगे जोड़ना, बढ़ाना, इनकी पूरी टीम।
All our systemic transformation programs are powered by Samagra X, the umbrella under which we do all our GovTech and data gov work. We have also embarked on a gov.ai mission through which we aim to drive at-scale use cases of AI in governance in India over the next decade. We really believe in the power of AI to enable personalization at scale and to meet the needs of our diverse citizens where they are. Beyond all of this core work, we believe that the best minds in the country are needed to solve the complex governance challenges that India is facing today. Towards this end, we are driving a couple of ecosystem initiatives that are aimed at galvanizing the young, bright minds of India towards the governance space. The Governance Challenge is one such initiative. It is a unique competition targeted at students studying in the topmost postgraduate institutes across the country, which sensitizes them towards the governance space in an immersive manner. Code for GovTech or C4GT is another such initiative that is catalyzing a community of open source contributors and connecting them to organizations that are either building or adopting digital public goods across the country.
Over the years, in collaboration with governments and multiple other partners, lives of Sangeeta, Shivansh, Sarita, and crores of citizens like them have been impacted through our work. And now we are focused on making our contribution towards the Viksit Bharat. Come join us in this journey and commit yourself to nation building. As we say at Samagra, राष्ट्र निर्माण के यज्ञ में हमारी भी एक आहुति होनी चाहिए.
Handing it over to Ujjwal to take us through the rest of the presentation.
Great. Cool. So let's just get started. Yeah. So I hope this was helpful in giving you a quick glimpse of who we are. Now going further, just to reiterate what Samagra does and who we are. We are a mission-driven governance consulting firm. Now there are some phases to kind of focus on, right? Mission-driven, where the mission, as was emphasized in the video, is to improve quality of lives of citizens through better governance. Again, there are multiple levers of impacting quality of lives. But for us, the lever is better governance because we strongly believe that if change has to happen, government is a very critical lever to engage with and drive that impact through at scale. So that's the mission. We are governance focused. As I said, all our work is with government, largely with state governments and also with government of India in a certain case. We are a consulting firm because we apply, just give me a second. Yeah, so we apply basically consulting practices, and I'll come to what it means in our approach as a firm. So we are a consulting firm. We apply the top-down management consulting principles in all that we do. So that's why we call ourselves as a consulting firm. So we're a mission-driven governance consulting firm. Now, what's the approach? Again, like I said, a key part of our approach is the top-down management consulting approach. How do we structure our problem statements? How do we apply problem solving? That's where the top-down management consulting approach comes in. Second is a very strong bottom-up understanding of the governance ecosystem. Because we're completely focused on working with the governments, we have a deeper understanding of how Indian governments work and what does it take to drive change management in the Indian governance ecosystem. And of course, that's all powered by technology and data, because without that, nothing can happen at scale. Right? So that's the core Samagra approach. Now, what would definitely be of interest is what are the kind of problem statements. A lot of it also has been covered in the video, but just to give a glimpse of other kinds of problem statements, right? So we have been working on reimagining courts in India. Again, judiciary is different from governance, right? It's different from executive, but the administrative part of judicial system, like how does judicial system get governed, is again executive in nature. So we've been working on how a reimagined judiciary system can look like, which is way more efficient and effective than how it is currently today, where more than 3 crore cases are pending across the country. That's one problem statement. Second is improving student learning level outcomes in UP, in the state of UP, in the state of Haryana. Again, just what you should notice here is on the kind of problem statements that we work on, really top level, or what I would say is macro problem statements, which are trying to move the needle on some indicator of quality of life. So you would not see problem statements like improving teacher training in a state, but you will see problem statements like improving learning level outcome. Teacher training is, of course, one of the levers for learning levels, but it's not the only thing. So that's why whatever problem statements we pick is an overarching quality of life goal behind which multiple things will go on. And I'll give you an example of what kind of things go behind the scenes. Right? Another example is overhauling scheme and then like service delivery on how it happens in the state and so on. So let me just take you through one program in further detail, just to help you understand what's the theory of change or the way of working when you pick a problem statement, right? So let's take the example of improving foundational literacy and numeracy in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So just for clarity, FLN is basic mathematics and basic reading skills that a child is supposed to develop at the age of 3 to 9 years. So within that 6 to 9 years falls within grades 1 to 3. When you're in class 1, 2, and 3, that's when it's important for you to grasp these skills so that you are ready to learn for rest of your lives. It's the important age. And if the child misses on it, they suffer for rest of their life in their learning journey. So this was a national mission which was launched in 2021 by Government of India, known by the name of Nipun Bharat. But state of Uttar Pradesh started on this journey back in 2019, even before the national education policy came in India. UP had already started its implementation, and Samagra has been working with the state since December of 2020. Right? So now goal is to ensure that all government school students in grades 1 to 3 in the state of Uttar Pradesh become FLN competent. That's the goal that we're trying to chase by March 2026, which is 1 year before the national timeline because the state started early. Now, how do we achieve this goal? So this is just to give you an example of how we formulate. And this is not a theory of change which we have designed in a day's time. It has evolved over the last 5 years basis our work with the state. So I'm just giving you a current snapshot of what it looks like today. So for this goal, basically, one critical lever is ensuring goal and role clarity. So we are talking about a state which has more than 1 lakh schools, more than 4 lakh teachers, right? And even if I just take grades 1 to 3, 60 lakh students come out of these grades every year. So that's the scale at which we are operating, right? Now, in that scale, if you really want to move the needle on learning outcomes, ensuring goal and role clarity of every officer involved on ground is extremely critical. So that's why it's a pillar in itself, that everyone understands what the goal is. What is the meaning of FLN competent? A teacher should be able to tell that without a doubt in their head. So that is why it has been designed very simply, that if a grade 2 child, for example, can add two-digit numbers, then okay, they are competent in mathematics in grade 2. So that's how the goals have been simplified and salience has been built on ground. Now there are three key levers at a classroom level. Now, assuming that everyone knows what the goal is, everyone understands what their role is, what's the next thing? What is happening at a classroom level? There are three levers again. There are inputs, there is measurement, because any mission is incomplete without measurement. And third is motivation. Even if I put inputs and measurement in the classroom, one thing that is critically missing in a governance ecosystem is motivation of teachers, because the system is rugged with multiple issues of its own. There's very limited incentive for a teacher to really go out of their way and ensure learning outcomes. So motivation is a key lever of support for them. These are the three, say, levers at the classroom level. Now, again, there's a lot of depth to each of these, so I will avoid going there. But just to give an example, on motivation front, one of the key levers is a gamification system, because you can't give very easy financial incentives in the governance ecosystem. There are complications of administration. So what we have come up with is, for motivation, every school who is going through that journey of system transformation get to, at one point, nominate their school or nominate their block to go through a third party assessment. And if they get assessed, like whenever they feel ready that yes, we have achieved the goal, they get a third party assessment done. And if they clear that assessment, then they're known as a Nippon school or a Nippon block and so on. So this gamification has been implemented to the last mile to mobilize momentum in the system, right? So that's a key lever of motivation, which we also tried in Haryana, which worked, which actually demonstrated results in the national assessment survey of Government of India that was done in Haryana. Haryana came into the top 5 states through the effort that happened through this gamification model. And now this model is also being implemented in UP. So this is more at the classroom level. At the system level, again, there are obviously three key levers. One is district ownership. How do you ensure that there's local ownership of the mission, communication, and review and monitoring? These are more system enablers, that the system needs to continuously review, monitor, needs to communicate role, who's doing what can be done better, and owning the districts locally. So these are more system enablers. So there's a goal role clarity, there are inputs, measurement, and motivation at the classroom level, and there are system enablers. Now, like I said, this has evolved with our learnings, with a lot of problem solving, with a lot of on-ground feedback. So this is what it shows like today, right? Similarly, every program has its own theory of change, and every domain for that matter has its own theory of change. So this is just to give an example on the how of a program, right? But what are some common characteristics? These are some sample programs across domains that Samagra is doing today. Again, but you can see, and as has been covered in the video, we are not, because quality of lives is the focus. That's why we are domain agnostic, because better education, better employment, better health, everything contributes to quality of life. So our work is across sectors, as you can see very clearly here. right? Now, the bigger point is basically what are the common characteristics of whatever programs you have seen in the video or in this deck, right? Firstly, we look for strong government pull. Again, there are million problem statements to solve in India and governance. We really double click on the government pull, that where is it that we can find that chief minister mandate, where that which just gives you a feeling of political blessing for a certain priority, which is important for governance. And second, having a very strong bureaucratic champion to drive that home. Multiple officers are working, and across the country, there's no dearth of skills and intelligence, but who's really driven to go out of their way to actually drive a change in quality of life, working with those officials, right? Second is that none of our work is funded directly by government, and that's by choice. We want to maintain an arm's distance from the government, so that's why we do not get paid by the government by design. And we take a professional fee from philanthropic funding. So it's Samagra, there's a funding partner, which is a philanthropic or a CSR partner who funds our work. And then there's the government for whom we are co-creating these goals and driving the state transformation. Third, there's this 4 to 6 member crack team at the state level. Now, government is huge, and the idea is not to replace what the government brings to the table. The idea is to be their power and a catalyst almost to drive to drive things in a mission mode. So that's why there's a 4 to 6 member team that's stationed out of the state capital, working with the government and obviously visiting the field at least once a month to see that whatever interventions we are working on with the state are actually showing the results on the ground, right? And because, like I said, we are a crack team, it's a small team in a huge system. That's why our role is as of a catalyst. How do you catalyze that change through better design, better policy, better implementation, right? And whenever we enter a state, the idea is to co-create a roadmap between the 3 parties that I mentioned, the funding partner, the state, and us, on how the transformation would look like, what are the goals that we are chasing, and go after. So that's the common characteristics of the work that we do. This is extremely important to us because we want to maximize the chances of impact. When the system is ready, that's when it is worth striking it with a hot iron, or the iron with that hammer, right? So that's the larger game. And again, of course, we are not just in the game of giving a strategy document. The idea is to work with the state, see what's lacking, design a roadmap, work until the outcomes are achieved through the implementation of the roadmap through the government machinery itself. So staying the course is another key element of the work that we do. So this was on our programs, right? Now there are 2 horizontal enablers of the impact that we do in programs. One is technology and second is design. So let me just double click on what I want to say here. So technology, we have what we call as Samagra X, which is the umbrella term we use for all the GovTech and DataGov that we have been doing in each of our programs. And obviously, we work at the very close and strong intersection of governance and technology. And there's a XT, which basically a central team that guides each of our consulting programs on 2 fronts. How to come up with the right product, what is it that's needed which can help move the needle on ground in whatever the team is trying to pursue on the goal front. And second, tech management, how to get that tech delivered in an effective way. These are the 2 fronts on which Samagra X help or XT helps under the Samagra's umbrella. And we also have a gov.ai mission. All of you are aware that AI is really, it's a fire, I would say it's a wildfire at this point where everyone is trying to crack there are millions of possibilities on what AI can do. So what Samagra is trying to do is find out synergies between AI and governance. And that's what we consider under our gov.ai mission, that how can we work on our consulting programs to identify possibilities where AI can really push the envelope on impact. Right. So let me just again take you through 2 examples, firstly of our work with consulting teams and also then double click on the AI work that we have done in the past, right? So for example, our XT say worked with the program team in coming up with the Nippon Bharat Monitoring Center. So as I explained to you, Nippon Bharat implementation is happening in UP. Monitoring center, a centralized monitoring center and also a tool in the hands of field functionaries is extremely important to ensure that continuous monitoring is happening across the key KPIs. So quickly, like just identifying the right KPIs, ensuring that all systems are integrated to come up with the data points, ensuring user-centric visualizations, both at the state level and at the field functionary level, ensuring that data is used in reviews, ensuring that you are able to kind of have a call center at the state level who can make calls and validate the sanctity of data that's coming through the system. So all of these are quick features of Nippon Bharat Monitoring Center, which say XT and program team have co-worked on to ensure that there is impact on the program as one of the initiatives on the Nippon Bharat program, which the XT has supported on. Another work is on benefit delivery. I'll skip that due to paucity of time. So tech management. So again, this here we help shape how the product design should look. And this is again another example where we worked with the program team to ensure good tech management of the portal on the platform that was being developed by the government. I'll skip this for the paucity of time. Under our AI portfolio, quick glimpse of the use cases that we have worked on. One is the Nipun Lakshya app, which is the measurement tool, using which you can assess oral reading fluency, basic mathematics, basic reading, basic writing. Again, the FLN skills. And ORF, as you understand, is basically your ability to speak, to read words and speak at a certain pace. That's where AI comes in to understand the natural language of the child and say whether the child is able to read words correctly or not. So that's where AI is being used in Nipun Lakshya app. Then there's a farmer advisory product, how to get good personalized advisory to farmers from topics ranging from quality of seeds to price of pesticide and so on. So that's again where we basically implemented an AI in agriculture use case. And thirdly, Kumbh Sahayak. So all of you would be aware that Mahakumbh 2025 has been underway, which is ending in the coming in this week itself. So that's where Kumbh Sahayak, for the first time, an AI chatbot was enabled by the name of Kumbh Sahayak, which was launched by the Prime Minister. And Samagra was behind shaping, conceptualizing, and actually getting it on the ground in coordination with multiple partners. So that's another bet almost that we took on AI in governance, on what AI can do in governance as we proceed over the next decade, right? So that's on basically AI and governance. So this is more on the technology front. Now coming to the design front. So by design, I mean understanding of the user. So when a consulting team is working on multiple initiatives, technology and design are two horizontals that help amplify the impact. So what does design help with? So there's a focused design team that helps the program teams on three fronts. Are the consulting teams going deep enough to know the citizen well so that you're designing for the right needs? Second, whatever you're doing, whether it's an output, a product, whatever is getting rolled out on ground, how user-centric is it for anyone to understand on ground? And thirdly, behavioral change. How do you drive soft behavioral change on ground, right? So that's the third dimension. So these are the three dimensions on which design team supports our program team. Again, to just give you a very quick flavor of what a design service looks like. For example, we were working with the RBI Innovation Hub, which is a Sector 8 company, which is a independent arm of the RBI, which is meant to push the envelope on financial inclusion innovation, right? So we work with them to do a diagnosis of what are the kind of unmet needs on the financial front on the last, say, 500 million citizens of India. What's the need that's still unsolved? So we conducted a user research, identified user personas, and design team basically helped in all of this. So what you will see as different personas that we came up with, that there's a returns maximizer, a small saver, an unaware small saver, and a loan saver. Like this is just providing an archetype to the different citizens, different types of people who exist on ground, and what are their financial needs, and then what should we be solving for as RBIH. That was the idea. So this is what design team helps program team do with the right rigor, with the right lens, right? So this was again design. Now, what is overall different in what Samagra does, right? What sets us apart? So one is scale of our programs. As I explained, whatever we do is at a state level scale minimum, if not national. Second, whatever we do is not just to end up at a strategy document, but right from thinking on what needs to be done to actually getting it done. Strategy plus implementation is the intersection. Thirdly, consulting plus product is the intersection. Wherever technology and data can be used, what's the best way of using it? And then the diversity of stakeholders, right from funding partners to technical expertise players. If I'm in education, I need a pedagogy partner, so I will bring them on board. To government stakeholders, right from the senior most officer to the junior most officer, right? So diversity of stakeholders. So scale of programs, strategy plus implementation, consulting product, and diversity of stakeholders. This is what sets us apart. Now, again, coming to your purview, right? When you join the firm, what all does it look like? So what does a program associate? That's the role that you would be playing when you join the firm. What do they do? Right? So just to understand the team construct, there's a program lead who's sharing time between, say, 2 to 3 programs. There's a program coordinator who's the dedicated, in the normal parlance, junior manager who's driving day-to-day action with stakeholders, with content and everything. And then there's a team of 3 to 5 program associates. So that's the role that you play. It's not the designation, it's the role that you will play when you join the firm. So that's the program associate layer. And then, of course, as I said, you are being supported by X team and design team. So this is a typical team construct with overall guidance from the senior most leadership, right? So that's the overall construct. Now, again, if say you are working on Nipun Bharat program, you may end up owning the teacher training design, the entire Nipun Lakshya app as a product, right from design to development to execution with the relevant partners. and say the centralized monitoring support, which is the Vidya Samiksha Kendra. So you end up owning the subset of the portfolio as a program associate. This is just for example purpose, right? So you end up basically handling 3 to 5 work streams of different complexity, of different kind of context, depending on your kind of, as you kind of get settled in the firm and you start delivering, the portfolio keeps changing over time, right? But whatever you may be doing, you will have to do good problem solving, product management, stakeholder management, district visits, all of this to actually succeed on the outcome of your work stream, which adds up to the overall goal and theory of change of the group, right? Now, why should you work at Samagra? The question that would be on top of your mind. One is impactful work. Second is the steep learning curve, because you will be put on high ownership mode from day one. We will not basically ever keep that lens that, okay, you're a fresher, we should not give you too much kind of ownership. We should have a cover for you. That's not the mindset. The mindset is you own your stuff from day one. And that's what leads to that steep learning curve. Third is fast growth, because there will be enough and more opportunities for you to grow fast as long as you are doing great. Supportive peers, it's a perfect group of people who have that very soft combination of skill and will, who are willing to stay in this space, create positive impact, persevere for it, while they could have done anything else in the corporate space. And they have the right skills to actually make it happen, because this is extremely complex work, right? So you get that layer of supporting peers to thrive and kind of feel supported and grow in this work. Just to give you a sense of career progression. So this is just to give you a sense, if you're joining, because all of you are freshers, you will be starting out at an associate position, right? That's the designation that you're most likely to start with, if not senior associate in some cases. So if you're starting out on that position, that's when basically within 3 to 6 years, you get to a consultant, senior consultant. And at this point, you also start playing the role of a junior manager, program coordinator in our kind of understanding. Then 6 to 8 years, you will be playing the role of a program lead. And then basically within 8+ years, you basically get to VP, SVP, which is eventually SVP is equivalent to the partner, right? And to incentivize people and team members who are really staying committed to the journey, the profit sharing policy starts right at the senior consultant level itself, which is unlike other consulting firms, which generally start profit sharing much later in a person's trajectory. So that's a career progression, just to give you a quick sense of it. And what are we looking for? Again, just taking a pause. When you go through this entire recruitment process, what all is that we are gauging and kind of critically looking at? First is, of course, impact orientation, right? And by impact orientation, I do not mean that you should have had impact experience, you should have done hundreds of projects in your college on impact. That's not the lens. The idea is that you have a strong bent to work in this space, and you're willing to go through whatever perseverance is needed, because problem statements are hard, needs a lot of experimentation. Working with governments, even with the pool, is not easy. So if you're willing to stay through that journey, that's the kind of orientation that we're looking for. Second is problem solving. So obviously, and again, the idea is and you'll see the keyword practical, that how grounded are you in the realities of India? How much can you connect the dots and apply when you are problem solving? That's the idea on the problem solving front, which we will assess, of course, through the case interviews. Third is interpersonal skills, having the right ability to kind of demonstrate your presence, have a conversation, influence people. That's what we'll gauge through the interviews that we do with you, also the video that you will be sharing with us. All of this gets kind of traced through that internal skills. And fourth is, again, strong drive. By strong drive, again, Venkatesh will be covering how do we want you to show your drive to us. But the larger point is that, do you have that right mindset that when you feel passionate for something, you're willing to stay on that project or piece or whatever you really feel passionate for, to stay on that, deliver results till it gets through, despite whatever ups and downs might come across the journey. So that's the drive that we are looking for. So impact orientation, which is the bent for impact, practical problem solving, interpersonal skills, and strong drive. Cool. This was a super long monologue. I hope you got the relevant insights from it. Now I'll pause. I'll ask Venkatesh to come in and explain the recruitment process to all of you, so that you're very clear on what to expect in the weeks coming in going forward. Over to you, Venkatesh.
Yes, thank you so much, Ujjwal. Thank you so much, everyone, for patiently listening to the presentation. And I see a lot of questions also have come up in the chat. So many of those questions we have been able to kind of address, as a reply, but we'll be taking a lot of questions also, whatever you have, which has not been addressed till now, after this section. So I think a lot of questions were about the process itself. So let me address all those things as I explain the process, right? So the recruitment process is essentially a 5 round or a 5 stage process, right? The round one, which is currently active, right, which is a submission of your basic details along with a 1 pager resume and a 90-second video. That is active till the 2nd of March. So by this Sunday, you have the deadline. 2nd of March, end of the day is the deadline, where you have to go on our website. And I would request my colleague Pooja to also share the join us page link on on the chat for everyone's access if you haven't been able to access that yet, right? But the idea is that you go on our website, there's a form. The form will have your name or other details. Along with that, there's a 1 pager resume and a 90-second video on a specific prompt, right? Many of you had questions about that. So it has to be a 1 pager resume. We do not accept 2 pager, 1.5 pager, 1 page, 1 line. So do your formatting well. One of the key skills, hard skills that Samagra looks for is being able to be competent with Excel document, well formatted documents and so on and so forth. So that is therefore one of the key things that we also look in your resume. Are you able to create a good formatted, well documented resume for yourself and upload that? The second one is a 90-second video. The video is on a specific prompt. The prompt essentially is that what in your opinion makes you a right fit for Samagra, right? So you have to first understand what Samagra does, and therefore all of the content that we covered today will be very, very essential in order to kind of correlate with your own skill set, your own inclination, your own vision, and your mission, in life that you seek to achieve, right? So that is what you have to do. That's an exercise for yourself. Go to our website, go to the other resources that that are there about Samagra on our YouTube, on our website, on our LinkedIn. Identify what are the kind of skills that you feel would be relevant for us. Identify the kind of intent and the kind of mission and the kind of drive that you should have, and then talk about your own journey, your own your experiences, in that 90-second video. Then the video can be a selfie video, so it can be using, say, someone can be recording you using a mobile phone or a camera, or you can also take a selfie video with the front camera or laptop as well. So whatever works for you, right? Not going into those logistical nuances, but you have to be visible. Your face should be visible, and then you can innovate around that as you like. I think a few of you asked about, can I put in animations, can I do post editing? Feel free to do that, as long as it conveys the message that is asked, which is what makes you the right fit for Samagra. It's a 90-second video. Please adhere to that. We are very, very strict with these guidelines, as any consulting firm would be. So it cannot. So I would say that we maximum give a leeway of 4-5 seconds. So beyond 95 seconds, we might not even look at the video and reject you right there because of not adhering to the guidelines, right? So that's about the round one. You upload this by 2nd March. After this, there will be a shortlisting. We will basically be And again, I think someone asked before I go ahead. The way you kind of upload this video is that either you can upload it on YouTube, your own YouTube, put it as an unlisted video there, so that only the people who have the link can watch it. Or you can also have a Google Drive link. That's completely okay, as long as you have the sharing access for view. The problem with Google Drive generally is that you share the link, you have not given access to people with the link to watch, and then there's a lot of problem that we are not able to see your video. So the link is to be put. So whatever Google Drive link or a YouTube unlisted link, whatever works for you, you can share it by pasting that link completely on the form itself, right? Yes, and then after this, the shortlisting will happen by the first week of March, somewhere around 4th, 5th March. We should be able to release the shortlist. Might at max get delayed, say, to 6th March, I would say. The people who get shortlisted, again, someone asked that how many people are we shortlisting? There's no number as such. The people who apply, if you have a good resume, if you have a good 90-second video, you'll get shortlisted, right? Don't worry about how many we are selecting. We don't. So answering that also, we don't have any number that we go in a drive with. We don't have this quota that 3 chahiye, 10 chahiye, 15 chahiye, 20 chahiye, right? What we go with is we want to find the right fit talent, for Samagra. Now, whatever it takes and how many people, fit the benchmark, the absolute benchmarks that we have, we will take them, right? Then the second round will happen. The second round is 14 on or 15th of March. You can choose on the form itself which day is suitable for you. It's a concept note round, right? What will happen is that at 7 p.m. in evening, at 7 p.m. in the evening, you will get a prompt on an email, right? So say you have chosen 14th March as the date. At 7 p.m. sharp, you will get an email with a question statement and certain supporting documents. You have to go through all of that, create a concept note, which essentially is like a strategy document, one pager or two pager. All those details will come on the day itself, and then upload that on a form. So you'll be given a time of about 3 hours duration. So typically 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. is what you'll be given. You have to create this well formatted document, a strategy document. Along with that, there's a quick quiz. It's a behavioral question quiz just to get to know you better. It's typically 10 minutes is more than sufficient to do that, but we give you a 3 hour duration to do both of them. The PDF submission as well as the form submission. This will happen on 14th or 15th, depending on which day you choose as your preferred date. The shortlist for that will come in the next week subsequently. Then round 3, round 4 are both governance case interviews. Basically, you will be interacting with one of our Samagra team members who will be interviewing you, right? And they'll be interviewing you to identify the key skills as we had highlighted, problem solving skills. So you'll be given a case. You have to kind of on in real time explain your thinking, break down a problem statement, and kind of give your thinking on that how will you solve this problem, give solutions to certain questions that they'll be asking. So round 3, round 4 are both governance cases, about 60 minutes each. That will happen on 27th March, right? So 27th March, the complete day will go in these interviews. So whoever gets shortlisted beyond the round 2 will be informed about the specific details. But just as a macro view, people who are in the Delhi NCR region, we will request you to come to our Delhi office so that we can have an in-person interview. For all others, we'll be having an online interview so that it's easy for you as well. And then finally, on 4th of April, we have the last one, which is a closure discussion. People, as a final conversation, typically with our CEO. That conversation will happen on 4th of April to kind of close down on the process. So that's the whole process. I hope a lot of nitty-gritties got answered, within this. And now open